Hello, beautiful people. All right. My name is Charles Maurice, and I'm your program curator and host for the evening. So I'm going to just talk about all the wonderful house rules before we get started. Would that be okay if I go, yes, Charles? Yes. So the first house rule I like to do, because we like intimate evenings and we like to make sure things are well, we do have some people who are on their way. So this is what we're going to do, is that we're going to do a call and response song, just like we're having church, or we're in the synagogue, or wherever you may or may not worship. Is that all right? Okay, so what I want to do is I'm trying to get people to move in closer, because when you come out to recital halls, you don't like to see empty seats, right? So those who are willing to come on down a little closer, we're going to come down like this. The song is called, I think I'll pick this particular one. We are gentle, loving people, and we are justice-seeking people, and we're singing for our lives. All right, repeat up. We are justice-seeking people, and we're singing for our lives. Okay, so we're going to pretend like we're going to have like a call and response. So I'm going to say we are justice-seeking people, and you're going to say, and we're singing for our lives. We are justice-seeking people, and we're singing for our lives. Now, I'm going to come off the mic. So, we are justice-seeking people, and we're singing for our lives. We are justice-seeking people, and we're singing for our lives. Now I got to get up and move. Come on. We are justice-seeking people. Come on. And we're singing for our lives. Now some people come on down the front of the seat. We are justice-seeking people. Hey! And we're singing for our lives. We are justice-seeking people. And we're singing for our lives. We are justice-seeking people. And we're singing for our lives. We are justice-seeking people. Hey! And we're singing for our lives. Now, somebody that you don't know, tell me your name. All right, there we go. Now, don't y'all feel good? And y'all look good. Wow. Wasn't that fun? Give yourselves a round of applause for that. That is in the spirit of Maya Angelou, and that's why we're here this evening. We're excited. As Maya Angelou once said, out of the huts of history shade, I rise up from a past that's rooted in pain. I rise, I am a black ocean, welling and swelling in the tide, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the hope and the dream of the slave, Maya Angelou, and still I rise. We have some wonderful things situated for you today, and we're glad that you're actually here. What I'd like to do, first of all, is to make sure everyone is actually comfortable. Everyone got cell phones? Okay. Here's what you can do with your cell phones. Now you can use your cell phones, put them on vibrate. You can get all the pictures and things you want, but when the film starts, we would ask for you to turn everything off, pay attention there, and you can bring the cell phones back up. Now is a good time to take a selfie with you and some friends. You can put it on Twitter. You can hashtag art as activism, Maya Angelou, and all those good things. You had that moment. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Put my phone in. Everybody look up. 5, 4. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everybody smile. Woo! Oh, look at y'all. I'm going around. Oh, okay, wait a minute. Here we go. All right. I got my phone. Listen. Listen, I enjoy these programs. This is the first time that the series, it's called the Jackie Robinson's Arts and Humanities series at Pasadena City College. It is for the students, it is for the community, and it takes a village of wonderful people to get this done. We're going to get started with the person that I think who I get to work with a lot, and he's a wonderful guy. Just want to tell you a little bit about him. He's going to come up and say a few words for you, and we're going to kick this pre-thing off and get this film started. He's a history professor, and he's also the director, or coordinator, I should say, of Diversity Initiative. He's on the faculty here at Pasadena City College, where his creative and dynamic teaching inspires students to delve deeply into the complexities of American history and grapple those aspirations and contradictions of the country founding's beliefs. That's kind of deep, huh? He's a native Angelino. He transitioned into the academia world with his doctoral thesis, More Than My Color, Race, Space, and Politics in Black Los Angeles, 1940 to 1968 at the University of Southern California. Here's something that's very important. He is the first African-American male to take a PhD in history from that institution alone. He gets a round of applause for that. His work as a humanities expert is extensive, including work with the Shakespeare Center of Los Angeles, the National Endowment for the Humanities. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome what I call the man that wears many, many hats, Professor, Director of the Initiative for Diversity, and one person that I really adore a lot here, Dr. Christopher David West.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You saying hi now? The Jackie Robinson Art and Humanities Lecture Series is an opportunity for this institution to tell a different story. It's an opportunity for this institution to tell a story about African American excellence. Not African American okay, not African American good, but African American excellence. The emotion for me is connected into that this is that rare moment where we get to bring folks together in one of the most beautiful facilities on this campus and to celebrate and say that the African American presence, its experience, its footprint here at Pasadena City College has been long and enduring. These things don't happen automatically. They don't happen magically. They happen because of hard work, they happen because of effort, and they happen because there are folks in the institution who want to make a difference. A key supporter of the lecture series in general, a personal key supporter of me, and for me, one of the most extraordinary individuals I've ever met is here today, and he's a senior vice president, assistant superintendent for all external programs. He's in charge of the diversity initiative. And so when you introduce your boss, you have to do all the cry stuff so you make sure you get your check, right? But the emotion is because he's the most incredible human being I've ever met. It's my honor to introduce Dr. Robert Bell. His executive administrative assistant, who drives me nuts on most days because she is extraordinary and keeps me human and says, you're not going to be able to get away with that crap, and make sure that this is all going to happen, is Cheryl Storms. As a reminder that there are two other events that are connected into the lecture series, so I would encourage and invite you to come back, sit back, enjoy. Welcome to Pasadena City College, and give some love for the extraordinary, incredible magnificent, intelligent, interesting, soul, spirit, changing human being on the planet, Charles Reese.
Okay, so we have a love fest at Pasadena. We really do. And we're going to keep that love going because one of the things that we've been wanting to do is making sure that students have a platform. Do you remember when you had that first time to speak in front of people? What did that feel like? Well, we have that this evening. She's a PCC student guest speaker this evening. She's a senior student here at Pasadena City College. Her area of study is communications and sociology. She has completed PCC's Honors Transition Program and was recently nominated to participate in PCC's first cohort, UCLA's Center for Community College Partnership Program. She was also selected to represent her campus last year and this year for the American Dance College Association. She is passionate about intellectual arts education. She hopes to raise awareness on the importance of art for social change, to remind audiences of art's powerful, healing properties in society's dying times. Through art, she believes we are able to unify, inspire, and deliver messages that we wish to exude. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our guest speaker for this evening, Miss Maurice Jenkins.
I was supposed to go around, but things don't usually go as planned. It's okay though. First of all, hello, and thank you all for being here, and thank you for having me. I'm very excited to share this special moment with each of you. Tonight we collectively share this moment of And Still I'll Rise by Miss Maya Angelou. The documentary focuses on her poetry, her activism, and her life as a dancer as well. I'm Maurice Jenkins, and yes, my major is communication and sociology. However, I'm an aspiring and passionate artist. I'm so grateful that Dr. Maya Angelou has graced my life in this moment, simply because she exemplifies a lot of myself. I exemplify a lot of myself in her, and I see a lot of me in her. I too am an activist, writer, and dancer hoping to educate the world on art for social change, and I understand that in order to create your best work in life, you have to dig deeply in the soul in order to provide authenticity and enlighten the audience. Her poetry, And Still I'll Rise, has become my source of inspiration. It has injected me with strength because I'm going through a very interesting time in my life. So to have her poetry has been uplifting. Just as she so beautifully wrote, this is the section that I most related to her. She said, "Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard? 'Cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard." In response, I wrote my own poem. This was a very vulnerable moment for me, so give me a moment, please. She's often imitated, but she's never duplicated. Still, I am inspired to be unique within you. How dare I forget my worth, my value, my voice? Yes, Miss Angelou, I rise. I rise from brokenness. I rise from ache and pain. I rise from abuse. I rise from years of agony. I rise from the shadows and valleys. There my light hid. I rise from mental, physical, and spiritual brutality inflicted upon my ancestors and I. My voice was weak and forgotten. I found my strength in you. I rise to speak truth. I rise to spread love. I rise for the entity I exist and live for, which is my jaw, my God. How dare I permit others to devalue my talents, gifts, and knowledge? How dare they strip and attempt to break me to pieces? How dare they take what is mine? How dare they forget heart? And how dare I forget mine? I clench to dignity and self-respect. Who am I? I am the sun, I rise. I am worthy, I am unique. I am strength, truth, and love. Dare I permit brokenness to steal the core of me, of she? I dare never to let others devalue me. No one can devalue she. I am unique. Look at me. Look at me. Look at she. Joss said, woman, a sight to see. I rise because I am a sight to see. I rise. I am a sight to see because I rise for he. I've risen and you've witnessed me. You witnessed she. Enamored, entrenched, lost because you saw hoe in me. How dare I forget I'm a standard in my obsolete. I rise, I am a force some desperately try to defeat. I rise from disrespect to set respect. I rise from lust to accept real love. I rise from anger, I forgive. I rise, I am refined, I rise. How dare I forget my worth, my value, and my voice. Yes, Ms. Angelou, I rise. I rise from brokenness. I rise like the sun. I rise to be light. I rise to warm flesh. I rise to be your nutrient. I rise to be greatness. I will fall, and I will rise again and again. I rise like the sun without permission. We know our mission. I rise, I am worthy, I am unique, unapologetically. 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 I am worthy. I am unique. Unapologetically. I rise. Unapologetically. I rise.
Maurice, come on back out here, girl. So listen, I know sometimes we need to take the time. I know we want to move forward and get things done, but I'm going to say this. She lost her father a few days ago.
No, a few years
A few years ago, excuse me. And, excuse me. And so the piece related to so many different things. And mourning happens when it happens, people. And you have to allow it to happen. And I just want to give her another round of applause just for standing in her space. Oh my goodness. I'm still kind of touched here. When I become speechless, it's deep. So let's get ready for the film, because I think it says everything it needs to say, but before we can do that, we have two special people who are going to be talking back after the film. So after the film, we're going to have a wonderful talk back that you get to participate in and do all those wonderful things. But right now, I want to bring up the director, co-director of the film, Miss Rita Coburn-Wack, and Maya Angelou's grandson, Colin Johnson.
Thank you.
Jenkins.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. I'd like to say that my grandmother wrote for ladies like you. Art is activism. She wrote so you could hear it, so you could have your moment, and you're writing for somebody else. So that's just the truth of the matter there. Touched me, definitely. Life is rough for us all. It hits us at different points, you know? I heard your words up here, and I really appreciate what you gave me tonight. Thank you. I'm very proud of this documentary. This woman right here has, and her co-director and co-producer, Bob Hercules, made an amazing film. Obviously, as her grandson, she, myself, my father, all were very concerned about how her life would be portrayed. She has an amazing life, huge. This documentary it's not even possible within time to cover her life fully, but it covers a great story, a great portion of her life, to talk about how a young lady named Marguerite Johnson became Maya Angelou, and all the path and the ups and downs it takes to get to that person. And I'll let her speak for her own piece of art, but as Maya Angelou's grandson and the co-founder of Cagebird Legacy, which is the organization that continues her work, I'm proud of every moment of this film, and I'm glad you get to enjoy it this evening.
Thank you. Thank you. It's very exciting to be here and to know that Maya Angelou's legacy continues. It continues in her poetry and her words. It continues for people. This documentary has taken us all over the world, and it's taken us to places where people don't know who Maya Angelou is in the United States. And I'm always happy for that, because we then get to educate. I believe that her life followed history in this country and in the world. And that you'll see, because that's important. But just like every person, when you do a documentary on a person and not a subject matter, it's a subject but not a subject matter. It's not racism, it's not women's rights, it's a person. You get to come to face with as much of their soul as you can. That's the objective. And when you find a truth in a human being, you find a truth in all of us. And I believe that's why she touched so many people, because she found the truth. And she would say, I am a black woman, and I am a white man, and I am an Asian woman, and I am alley-oop, and I am everybody. And her being everybody embraces us all at a time when we need to understand that no matter what it looks like, that is the truth. And so as you look at this and as you see the work, we're more than happy to be here. We're grateful to be here. We're grateful to have time to have people be touched by human beings and her humanity, and to take the time to do that. That's really what it's all about. So we'll be here to answer questions, and Rolanda Watts, who you may know of here because she's been every kind of journalist, talk show host, and what have you, but also was a personal friend of Maya Angelou's for many years, her and her family and her mother and father in Winston-Salem. So this is a gathering where you have family, director, friend, and we're just happy to be here. So please enjoy the film, and afterwards stay around so that we can give you more of whatever questions you have. We'll try to answer them. Thank you so much. Be blessed and enjoy. Thank you.
I want to start off with our special guest moderator. We know her as simply as Rolanda Watts. She's a journalist, talk show host, actor, producer, writer, and a voiceover talent. Her name, face, and now even her distinctive voice are known by audiences everywhere. As you know, she had the Rolanda Show years ago. She is a graduate magna cum laude at Spelman College in Atlanta, Georgia, where she double majored in theater arts and English. She holds a Master of Science degree from the Columbia University Graduate School of Journalism. Rolanda also holds an honorary doctorate in humane letters from Winston-Salem State University. Rolanda is the CEO, president of her own production company, Watts Works Productions. She is a first-time author. For her romance novel, Destiny Lingers, the late Dr. Maya Angelou endorsed her book with an encouraging quote, which graces its cover. Ladies and gentlemen, your special guest moderator, Miss Rolanda Watts. And some of you saw him earlier. He is the principal of Cage Bird Legacy, LLC, co-founder and principal of that organization. Colin A. Johnson is leading the entity dedicated to continue the life work of Maya Angelou. Colin honed his speaking, business, and diplomatic skills, as well as his commitment to education, largely through the observation of his grandmother, Dr. Maya Angelou. In July of 2015, Colin Johnson left his position as the government account manager for the Mid-Atlantic territory at T-Mobile USA to work full-time for Cage Bird Legacy, LLC. He holds an MBA from the International Business Management School in Georgetown University. Please welcome Colin A. Johnson. And last, definitely not least, the co-director. She's also a writer-producer, Miss Rita Coburn-Wack. She is an award-winning writer, producer, and director of television, magazine series, talk shows, documentaries, and programmings. She began developing a background in social media. Rita has grown Dr. Maya Angelou's Facebook page to 5.7 million fan site. Random House Driver's Row published Rita's first novel, Meant to Be in 2002, and her articles have appeared in the Chicago Tribune and other publications. She has taught advanced video production for her alma mater, Northwestern University. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Rita Coburn-Wack. And so these are your conversationalists for this evening. Really quickly, the way it's going to work, they're going to talk to you for a little bit, and then we're going to open up to some Q&As. There are 2 mics on either side, so when that happens, please form a line, and we will have our wonderful Maurice on one side, and I'll be on the other side to help with the Q&A. There's also some forms on your side. You can pick these up right now. Let's get those. If you have those forms, pass those down. Those are survey forms that you can utilize to help us give us some information, and we'll collect those at the end. Ladies and gentlemen, let the conversation begin.
Do I begin? Okay, let's do this. Hey, everybody. How are you? Hey, I know a lot of folks out here. I mean, this is like family. You know, we're sitting up here, and it's so funny because we all kind of really grew up together under Auntie Maya's wing. For me, it was Auntie Maya. For Colin, it was Grandma. And for Rita, it was Doc. And we all, each of us knew her so intimately in 3 entirely different ways. But we were always part of what we call the village, which is family, not even extended family. You know, Auntie, wasn't, down south, and a lot of our families call people we really respect aunt or uncle. And so that's our connection. But we are family. And it's so wonderful to see and to celebrate what you two are doing with the Cage Bird Legacy and continuing the legacy. And that is on so many, many levels. I know you're still resonating from that film. You know, there's an old African proverb that says, as long as you mention my name, I live. And you know Auntie is all up in this room today. And you know, when I say auntie, she's your auntie too. You know, that's a universal thought. And boy, what the importance of that means. I want to, you guys were introduced already. This has been a magnificent journey for them. And I am curious to hear this for the first time as well. Tell us about how this all started. I mean, you got, you know, you have a brand already, but to give it the meaning that I know you bring to the table, each of you. Tell us about that journey. How did that start? How did you collaborate?
In regards to the engagement legacy, as opposed to the documentary. Rita worked with my grandmother for many years during the Oprah radio show. My grandma was doing the show. I'm not sure exactly how often.
2006 to 2010.
And my grandmother didn't deal business or like friends in any way. When Greek people came into her environment and her existence, she pulled them in and made them family. So it wasn't maybe about a year or so after they started the recording of the show that she started to bring her family to Thanksgiving. And, you know, she became family. And since then, we've worked in many different capacities prior to Grandma's passing. But then the last project that I was at least at the table for was a conversation on this documentary. And when my grandmother passed, you know, Rita became the leading most expert on my grandmother's life because she had just spent the last 4 years researching her life. And I loved her and liked the way she handled business. So it was an easy call to ask her to come be my director of communications. Obviously, you know, after Grandma passing, the business had to change totally. You know, we weren't doing writing books, we weren't doing speaking engagements. There's a number of other things, but there's a lot of work to be done. And you know, we support the Miamisville Charter School in Washington, D.C. We support St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. We give out 4 scholarships a year right now. We have a number of other, lots of other community work that we do. It's important. And my grandmother's message carries weight. When you have weight and visibility, you can get corporate America involved. And as an MBA, for me, I'm a social entrepreneur. And I like to cut great deals where my grandmother's work will be respected and remunerated in great abundance. But at the same time, we're going to be doing great work in the community and utilizing our weight and our platform to continue to create the change that she wanted and the change that her words brought about.
She was always very much about civil rights. I mean, I think it was not only her great literature and her great poetry and the magnificent quotes that we all live by. I mean, I don't have to quote one of them. You hear them all in your head right now. But it was her commitment to human rights and lifting your voice, to be able to say no and to lift your voice. That was, I remember speaking with her about the Trayvon Martin issues and all of that. That's one of the things I love so much about what you were able to bring out of this documentary, was her human rightisms. You know, that is so magnificent, particularly at this time, and particularly as young, there's so many young people in this audience. There's so many artists in this audience. And one of the things Charles Maurice and all of us learned back in college was that use your art as activism, and that's what we're here to celebrate today. How do we use our voices? As you said, when you know, to be recognized comes with responsibility and response and reactions. How did you pull that and tell that story to ignite these engines in America today, the next generation? How did this mighty legacy, this American treasure, pass on? What did she pass on about human rights and civil activism?
I think one of the things that drew me to Maya Angelou, as probably many of you, was just reading her, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. And when I read it, I was about 12 years old. I didn't really understand it because she told some things that we have to put her in the context of history. Now we talk about sexual abuse very casually. And I don't mean that it is in any way casual, but we talk about it in this society. In 1969, that book was banned because it talked about what was ostensibly incest, and you just didn't talk about that. And rape, really, was what it was. And so That in and of itself was social activism at that time, to take a taboo and take a subject and take the covers off of it and say, we're going to talk about this in this society. Her second book, Gathered Together in My Name, was the book that told from 17 to 19, she spent some time as a prostitute and she spent some time as a madam. And people didn't tell that if they did do it. And then she reinvented herself. And as she reinvented herself, her life was a life of social activism. When you come from the Jim Crow South, and this is what you can do, you can understand that in this society, that the history books were not written by black women. And we used to do history books, it wasn't online. And so here you have a woman who was born 1928, Jim Crow South, 1935, she's in St. Louis with the Great Migration. The Great Migration, that was a raucous, lawless time. So for her to be raped during that time in a house that was ostensibly, that set of Baxters, her mother's people were gangsters. And so there was prostitution, there was fighting, there was, you know, take it as you can during that time period. And that was the time period in which she was raped. When you move to 1954, white people did not travel outside of this country with the frequency that she did with the State Department to go for Porgy and Bess. If a family wanted to go out of the country, the husband would go in one plane and the wife would go in another because they didn't trust planes at that time. We don't think about that now, but that's how it was. And at that time, she was in all types of European cities. She meets James Baldwin. He's in Paris. She spends some time in Egypt, and then she lives there in Egypt, in Cairo and in Ghana. So her entire life was a walk through history from a black woman's point of view. And because she did 7 autobiographical memoirs and then did 36 books in all, she really told the story. And then she was well documented, not by paparazzi, but by journalists of the day. So just to give you how that all came together from a research and from a filmmaking point of view, there are 314 photographs. There were 4,000 that we looked through to get that. There are 29 minutes of film that relate to her. We did over 150 hours to get that. And then we added film that would set you in the time period. So you see a car going down the road, or you see something happening in St. Louis, and then we add the music to that. And what you do is like that little girl's hair. You just keep combing that story and combing it, wet the brush, brush it, and get the comb it.
And get those depths out.
That's right.
And don't forget that kitchen.
That's right.
The kitchen. The kitchen.
And so what happens is you make a story that you can sit through and have a seamless experience. And that was what was our blessing, our challenge. And we needed to honor this woman's life because she did.
And how long did it take you to do this whole documentary?
We did it from 2011 to 2016. And a lot of that had to do with, I'm just going to tell you, you know, there's talk, I'm just going to say it, there's talk about getting rid of public PBS and not funding PBS. Well, this ain't my Angelou talking, this Rita Coburn Wack, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Why? Okay, so go to school and we're going to take Sesame Street away from millions of kids. I don't think that should happen. And I think that what we did with Maya Angelou's work and words is PBS is one of those last places where when you do a documentary, you have to have integrity. People would say, well, could you go to Oprah for the money? No, because Oprah's in the documentary and you don't do that in the PBS world. So it took us a while to raise the money, but everything happens for a reason. And during that time period, we were able to do more research and take our time with the program. And
and really just try to get it to a level that we thought she would be pleased with. Colin, what do you think Auntie or Grandma would say in these turbulent times, particularly as the political unrest is so something else?
Yeah, I don't.
Fill in the blank.
Yeah, I don't suppose to speak for my grandmother. She was much more intelligent than I am, but I aspire to her level. I think that what I know about her is that she believed in the good of all people. She saw God in most people and all people, and that she just saw that we were more alike than we were unalike, and that she would search for those connections and those connective tissues to make us all community versus try to divide us. And she would speak to power. And so whether they would listen or not, that's something different. But the reality is that I don't think that she would focus on the bad or the good of anybody, but just talk about what the goal of America is.
That's right. And she also said, when someone tells you who they are, believe them the first time. I just thought I'd add that.
Yeah.
Art as activism. This is an exciting time, as we talk about digital media. And what I'm so excited about, y'all, this is what's so crazy, is that at the time that Auntie went to her transition, she was working on, what was it, 18, it was like a 50 million, I say 50 million projects.
Yeah.
It was about a good 16, 18, it was more than a dozen projects. Here you are, and you're an octogenarian, and you still pumping it out. And one of the most exciting things was she was working with a group of young rappers. She was taking her poetry to hip hop to reach a new generation. Y'all should hear Harlem Hopscotch put to rap. Go on YouTube and listen to it. It's part of the Cageburg songs is what it's called, and that's part of what the legacy is.
Well, I think that art as activism is definitely how my grandmother lived her life.
That's right.
And she knew that her message had resonance and a place in today's society, that it changed people, that it improved people, that it healed people, and that when she put it out there in various different formats, it was attainable to more people. And she never, put herself outside of something else like hip hop. People were very surprised that she was open to that. That was the idea that she liked, that she wanted to pursue. This gentleman produced the concept to her, and she liked it, and that's why we moved forward. So there's a couple people in the press that thought that was my idea. It wasn't.
But
young people, not this crowd. I'm just saying
people
that she didn't separate herself from any art and anybody. And she wanted to reach the biggest group of people, not for any self-aggrandizement, but for community's sake and for humanity's sake. And so she definitely loved that.
Wait till you hear "And Still I Rise" put to hip hop and rap. You will not be the same, okay? I'm telling you, and you hear "Phenomenal Woman" put to some young hip hop rap kind of beat, you're not gonna be the same. And this was months before she said goodbye. Don't sleep on this. And it's on YouTube. That's the excitement of the digital media movement, I think also, Rita, that we can reach and re-reach, teach and reteach each one. And then you have to also say, because I think Auntie would put this on the table, what you gonna do? Come on now.
She showed up to my graduation of my MBA at Georgetown, and basically her last line talked to the class and said, "What's next?" So, there that is. But I think that what she felt, and it's something I said to this young lady here, is that she felt she needed to be of service. She did not want to ever be of service. She felt that she wanted to be utilized. She was a mechanism of change. And she wrote for everybody that resonated with her work. Everybody was looking for a message for this young lady here to give her the gumption and the pride and the wherewithal to stand up here and share her heart. And my grandmother wrote the truth and her truth. And the reality is that that's all we can do is when we're in service. Art is activism. You move people by giving them something of yourself.
And an example of your life. Let's not forget people of a certain age in here who are my peers. I'm not going to look at anybody. But
she ain't that old.
But let me tell you something, but what, your grandma didn't write I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings until she was in her 50s or 40s, come on now. And she didn't direct her first movie until she was in her 70s.
Whoever said you have to be successful by 30 is stupid. Okay?
Come on.
That's
there's
not
so
it. I mean,
much
how do you
more
know
to go.
yourself?
And young lady, you
reality
might
is-
have a question. You got a question?
Well, first of all,
We're
this
gonna
woman.
open it up.
We're opening it up. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm so
If you have a
sorry.
question,
I knew there was a setup.
if you have a question, please come to one of this side. I'm Maurice on this side. I'm on this side. We want to make sure we're going to keep all our fire guys. You can come on this aisle or on that aisle. So come to the mic so we can hear you.
All right. This is the fun part. Okay. Young lady, would you like to start? Why don't you give us your name? Oh, she's helping you? Okay, just do your thing. And you're both very well dressed tonight. Love the outfit.
Is this on?
Yes. There you go.
Hi, my name is Anna Marie Polcaro. I would like to say as a question would be this. I battled 2.5 hours of traffic. I've been trying desperately to meet Rolanda. I'm the lady who keeps sending you messages forever. She had a saying in that. I came on a nightmare searching for a dream. That's how I came to LA. Tonight was a last minute decision, thanks to my friend Priscilla. And I don't think people understand that how much it changes somebody's life in one moment. Tonight, just looking for direction for what I'm doing here, getting out of a 32-year marriage and starting my life all over at my age. Most people would tell you not to take this adventure, to LA especially. But what I want to know is, do each of you understand that the moments that you offer what you do, and all those things that they say you've achieved, that for everybody that sits and listens to what you say, just as she, that you have the ability to change someone's life within a moment. And it is,
Yeah, I would say we hope so.
That's why we do this.
That's why we wake up in the morning.
Understand that when I don't approach this business like other people might approach the sale of like a CD or some other regular garment, right? That we look for partners that understand my grandmother's value in today's world and understand her message has meaning and has importance and needs to be a part of what we're doing today. And not looking for partners that just simply feel like they can make some profit by doing business with us. Because we're looking for more than just making remuneration. We want to change. And there are plenty of organizations out there that are out there doing great business and selling great products and really making real change and solving real problems. And I appreciate you saying that. One of the biggest honors I've ever had is after my grandma passed, when I would go to speaking engagements, people would come up to me of all ages in tears, talking about a moment that their life was changed by my grandmother. That's a golden moment. That's a gift back to me. All right? So I appreciate you coming up here tonight.
yes, I'd just like to say thank
I
you
appreciate
guys
you
so
doing
much. Yeah, I think I cried through
And
most
you're
of it.
gorgeous, by the way.
And she
So you
gorgeous.
ain't got nothing to worry
I
about.
love my God, New York.
Thank you.
Probably 2 or 3 phone numbers we can get right in here.
I'd just like to say something to you. When we found, sometimes making a film is really chaotic. You have to have a lot of faith, because when you start it, you can build a treatment in order to sell it, but you don't know what that story is going to do. And you can't know. An example would be when we did an interview with Maya Angelou, and she said that someone screamed in the UN and a fight happened. Well, we wouldn't have known that until we did that interview. When we found that out, I asked a researcher, find it, because nothing happens in the UN that's not on tape. So you chase the story until it chases you. You also have to find the truth, because once you find the truth, it's universal. And so after we had done the whole thing, we could not find the beginning. The beginning was never working. And then we found that quote, "You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. In fact, it may be necessary that you encounter defeat so that you know who you are." So after 32 years, what I'm saying to you is, you're not defeated. You're encountering something, and you know who you are, and you'll be stronger. And it's good for you to come here, because that is the truth. The traffic, the whatever, you were supposed to be here because everybody here was from the same tribe. You came out to see a documentary. You came out with all of your whoever you are, all of your Asianness, all of your blackness, all of your woman.
It took you 2 hours to calm
You
down.
came here because you needed to be here to hear what was said. You weren't going, and we love to have fun, but you said, I'm going to see a documentary. I'm going to learn something. So we're from the same tribe. We're happy that you came, and I'm happy that you stood up and shared your truth. She would have wanted that.
Well, that's the way she was. I mean, you know, remember when she would start every gathering of family that came from all over the world, and she would say this very much seriously. She said, you came, just showed up. You know, kumbaya, you came by here. You came by here. She said, you came pretty and ugly. Skinny and fat. Shady and straight. But you showed up. You came. And then we would start the blessing and the celebration. So yes, she's very much here. Yes.
Hello, my name is Tamika Bob. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for bringing this to us. It was informative, empowering, entertaining, and enlightening. God told me maybe a year ago that I should share my story. And I didn't know how I was going to do that. And I'm an actress. And so then I just began to pray and fast about it. And he said, go ahead and share it as a one-person show. And so now I'm in the process of writing my one-person show, and it's called The Maya in Me. And don't steal my topic. No. And so The Maya in Me does examine Dr. Angelou's life as well as my life, and it compares the two and the similarities. And the purpose is to show how so many women, especially African American women, have experienced the same things. And so I want to know if it's possible to contact you guys to just get your input on what I'm writing, and so I can just share in the best way her life and get the story out, the parts of her story that are similar to mine, so I can just bring it to the people and bring it to young artists.
I would say contact us through our website, myangelo.com.
Okay.
I can't say I'm going to read your whole project.
No, it's fine.
I would say that because
How many projects do you get a day?
that's a lot. But what I would say is that keep doing that. And you know, if my grandma helps to show you a good mirror of who you are, who you should be, that's amazing. And I wish you all the best of luck.
I'm going to tell you what she told me. She endorsed my novel. I have a new novel out called Destiny Lingers. And I shared the manuscript with her. And she said to me, she said, you keep up with this. Don't you die with the story still in you. And that made me sit down behind that computer and work that thing like a job. I didn't care if anybody read it or not. I had a direction and a directive. So I would say, don't you die with that story still in you. Somebody's waiting to be healed by your story.
That's all I needed. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Valeria Segueda, and I'm a student here at PCC. And I would consider myself a social justice activist. And I know right now, in this time, it's very important that I keep on fighting, but sometimes it gets a little tiring. And I know you already talked about Ms. Angelou's view on what's happening today, but what advice would you have for activists today? Or what would she say?
I would tell you that you need a call to action in any cause you have. Don't just be an anarchist, you know? And that's just the reality. The world works in a simple way. I don't know about simple, but it's, you know, you want something, you ask for it, but you have to ask for something and be directed and be clear and be informed. There's a lot of fake news out there, you know? And so I would hold myself to a platform that I can stand behind, that I, you know, be able to bake my mom's house on, you know, that you feel passionate about, and then have a call to action and a request. Because I think that we sometimes go out there to protest and we don't have some of the older leadership that has really showed us how to protest. And the reality is that if you don't go out there and ask for something, what are you doing?
And I
I mean,
think
simple disrest is not the goal. All right? And my grandma said, I don't complain, but I will protest. All right?
During the time of Maya Angelou protesting, and remember she was in her 30s, along with Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, who all died in their 30s. And here it is, I mean, Jesus died in his 30s and he was a social activist. There is a youthful thing before you all get 6 cars and have kids in college, you should be protesting. You should protest more than I do because I'm tired. But what happened with her was that she lived long enough and she continued to do that. Now, I just say what I want to politically. I think not only should you protest, but you should understand that the currency in this country is voting. I had a lot of Black Lives Matter people come up to me after seeing this film some months ago and what have you. Well, they told me that as a category at that time that they did not vote. Well, then everybody said, go out there, yell all you want to. We're going to go with these people because you don't vote. So if you don't vote and you don't understand the currency of the country, then you're making a lot of noise and you're not really doing anything. And that's what Colin means by you need to have an agenda, you need to know what you want, and you need to push for that. And then we really have to look at the fact that we are stronger together. And we are in a phase right now where this microaggression, where it's a casual disrespect of people in any group, whether they're Black, whether they're women, whether you say you grab them by something and then 52% of white women vote for someone who says that, and 97% of Black women vote for somebody who doesn't say that, and where's everybody? And yes, you should be out in the streets, and it should be about what you want to change and take place. And when we do films, and some of us, you know, I do things that I believe in, that educate people, but I also do things that I believe in, and I protest as well. Because it's important to me what happens to this country and what happens to our children. And what happens to whatever group you're from, that's important to me. I don't think we build walls, we build bridges. I don't think that's not who we are. And so we do need to be very loud during this time. And we need to vote.
The sad fact is 50% of the electorate voted the last election. 50%.
Yeah.
Here's what Dr. Maya Angelou has said. History, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived, but if faced with courage, need not be lived again. History will repeat itself. And it's really interesting in these days and times that resonates, you know, we are so much more alike than we are unalike. Absolutely. You know, all of a sudden, you know, remember it wasn't long ago, it was only Black mamas crying over kids getting shot in the streets. And we were all alone crying. Now we look and we see Muslims and temples and you know, all kinds of hatred going on. And so that's a time of unity, I think, Auntie would say, that use every part of chaos as an opportunity. That's where great business deals are made, so why can't a great deal with humanity be made as well? And I believe that if there's going to be peace on earth, it's going to come from Western women. And we're depending upon you. Rita and I ain't gonna get out there no more. We look, we ran.
I got out in Chicago last week.
So we're depending upon you.
You know, I'm Chicago, so, you know.
Come on, young Joe.
I like to protest, so I'm just saying.
You know,
Keep on keeping on. Yeah.
you got to keep on keeping on. Auntie, if there are no more any major questions from people coming down, you have a question? No, we have one. And then after this, we're going to kind of like wrap up because we do have to go to places.
And let's give it to Charles Reese, everybody.
My name is Laya. Hi. This is less a question and more of a thank you, because you've awakened something very old in me. But I will phrase this as a question for the sake of everybody else. Do you think that when a young person needs to say something, like really wants to share their voice, that they need to wait, like the myth says, to be somebody first?
You never have to wait to be anybody.
Hold on, your truth is your truth. At the moment, it's your truth. Nobody can tell you what your truth is.
The world's waiting
And
for
you
you.
have your truth today, and you know what? 20 years from now, you might look back and say it's different then. But that's not the point of today's truth. You gotta speak what you gotta speak.
And now, you know something, we don't have the luxury, young lady, as women, and just as human beings, we don't have the luxury of waiting anymore. Life is not a waiting game. Life is about right now.
My grandmother believed in being a participant in her life, and she showed up 100% every day of her life. Everywhere she was there 100%. So if you're holding back, you're not giving that 100%.
I don't think you have to not only not wait, but understand one of the things that she would say is you alone are enough. And she would also say one person standing on the word of God is a majority.
That's right.
And
Speak,
so
sister.
the strength that you have to at least come up.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
One of the things you said was that, do I have to wait until I am somebody or something?
And
But
you are.
already.
Already. You are enough.
At any moment that you are being authentic. So speak your truth, always. You are enough.
And it's okay to cry too.
Oh, yeah.
Those are tears of joy. And that was Auntie's favorite word, joy. When she signed her books, I wish you joy. You know, joy comes in moments. That is a wonderful word. Anybody else have any other questions or thoughts before we wrap up? I'm going to pass it back over. Yes, Clarence.
You can bring the mic to him. We want to hear everyone.
I can project.
Oh, yes, he can. Oh, yes, he can, and he will.
We want to make sure we get you on the mic. So take that mic to him. Thank you.
I may not let you.
No, we're good. You can get there.
Stand.
It's not your storyline.
Roll on.
No, this is really for Rita. I just want to say thank you. I've been working on 2 docs for too long, and the hardest thing for any documentary is to find the story. And to have such a giant to actually try to do a documentary around and finding that story and to hear you articulate that gives me hope. And now I can just like get back in the grind and get it done. At least get the first one done. And it's another individual that she knew. So now I'm hopeful. So thank you. I just want to say thank you. It makes me feel good that my colleague, Ms. William Benson, was one of the team members too.
She was fantastic.
Yeah.
She was one of our editors. You know, what I would say to all of you that you need to do, most of you have cell phones. You need to record yourself and you need to record the oldest members of your family.
Wow.
Thank you, because otherwise, how will my grandchildren know what I thought or what Auntie Sarah said? And I used to record on cassette tapes when we would drive from Chicago to Charleston and play I let them have a Beverly Cleary story and then I pop in Mama May and let them hear our family, because that is your history. And that's the first thing you can do. And when you're trying to do a documentary or pull anything together, the first thing you have to fight is the fear of it all. Because the stories are big, you've got to respect a human being, you're dealing with a soul. And you're not going to be able to get everything right, so get rid of that and just plow forward. And again, the story will lead you. As you begin to get it, it'll take you where you need to go, and then you just funnel all that down and just keep combing and working it. and it will get to where you need it to be. And then we workshopped it with people that were in the business and outside of the business probably about 8 times. The other thing you can't do is, when you're, and I'm just gonna say this, when you're young and people give you some criticism, you know, I wrote a novel, and my first novel, when I wrote it, I put out 20 letters, and 10 of them came back, and that was pretty good because I didn't know that. But then they wanted the book, and I wasn't finished with it. I just had put out the letters because I got to a particular place. I mean, you learn as you go, right? But every rejection letter I got later, I would open up the letter and I would go in the room and go to bed for at least a day because I felt rejected. And once I took the letter with one of the letters and I told this man about it in a writer's group. And he said, "So did you do what the person said?" And I said, "No, they rejected me." He said, "Are you kidding? You mean somebody wrote you a page and a half about what they thought you should do, and you went and got in the bed? You were supposed, I couldn't even find
Those
the letter."
are called rave rejections.
So the thing is that you need to be able to take criticism. So after you do it, workshop it with people and get over this point where what you really want them to do is the first time they see it, you want them to say, "Oh, that's so amazing." No, it's busted. There's not a lot of good in it. It needs work.
And don't show your family
this is
stuff.
something that Colin says all the time about work. You have to work extremely hard. And once you get over that, you'll get over any kind of fear. Just work really hard, and then it will lead you, and you'll lose your fear. It's like push-ups. Eventually, you're going to get stronger.
Yeah, I took workshops.
One thing you said, and that was thanking Rita, because she did an amazing job.
Yeah.
And I appreciate her.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we could be here I could be here all night. I really could. But here's what I want to do. I want to let you know, you guys got a charge. And the charge was, don't die without creating that project that's inside of you. So that means we're all going to live. We're going to continue this art as activism. We have another screening coming up on April the 27th where we're going to jump into James Baldwin. And we're going to have his nephew here to do a one-on-one to talk about what that was like. So get ready for that. I want you to get all of your surveys together, write some comments down. You can do that. And then just drop them over there in the corner with Christopher. If you have them, we want those. But before I do anything else, I want you all to really rise. And let's give a round of applause for the one and only Rolanda Watts, Colin Johnson, and Rita Coburn Wack.